Welcome back to the Million Dollar Purpose podcast, where we're going to be answering the big question, which is how do I find my God given purpose and get paid for it? All right, time to dive straight into this episode today. It's going to be stop negotiating with your destiny. That is the message. Stop negotiating with your destiny. And I know this is easier said than done. When I first started going on this purpose journey of just trying to figure out, like, what am I really called to do? And, is there, like, a bigger destiny in this? I just was curious. I was like, did God make me for more? Or, am I supposed to actually be successful? Am I supposed to make the kind of money that I think I'm supposed to make? And I believe that I absolutely am now, but that's not how it started. It started with me not knowing, like, what I was called to do. And so I went on this purpose journey. And, at first, I had no idea what I was going to do. And I started asking God, asking, seeking, knocking, and, asking God, what am I supposed to do? And as it went on, like, God revealed to me that I was supposed to do online business. I was supposed to be successful in the online business space. And when I realized that, that's when I finally started realizing who I really was. I finally started to see myself like the way that God created me to be. And I started becoming the best version of myself. Honestly, I had never met this version of myself, but when I did, when I went through this journey and I went through the ask, seek, knock process, then, like, I finally met who I'm called to be. And then I started taking messy action. I started taking action. I knew it was online business, and I just started taking action. I started posting content. I started doing all the things that you would expect as a beginner to do, to try all these things. And God eventually revealed to me course creation. That's what I do now. But, it's crazy because then the vision became so clear. The vision became so clear. And eventually, when I was taking that action and the vision started becoming clear, I stopped negotiating with my destiny. And that was the biggest part, because there's going to be a part of you that is going to be like, man, like, do I really got to do all this work? But here's the deal. You're either going to do all the work to fulfill your destiny, and it's going to be hard work, and it's going to be a challenge, and you're going to have to learn, and you're going to have to grow every single day. It's like you're being held to a super high standard by God himself. And that is tough. That is a tough place to be in. But here, the alternative to that is the hard that comes with not fulfilling your destiny. The hard that comes with, struggling to make a living, or struggling to do, basically just live a life of mediocrity. And I know that's not what I wanted. I didn't want to choose that hard. I saw my own mother go through this, living a life where, her entire life was based around her kids, just trying to struggle and survive. And I have more opportunities with online business than she had. I know she did her best. But I knew that's not what I wanted. I wanted to fulfill what God had for me, because in Jeremiah 29:11 it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." And I believed that God was being real when he said that. I believed he was speaking to me when he said that. And so that, once the vision became clear, you're supposed to build this multi-million-dollar business, which, it took time to come to that place. I did not think I was capable of that for a long time. But God will reveal the vision as you continue to take action, right? One big action I took was investing into a program. It was $2,500 at the beginning of last year. I invested into this program with the guidance of God. Like, I was looking at like 3 or 4 different things, and God showed me this one program where I met my amazing mentor, Danielle, and like, it was all led by God. And then that's when I started becoming the person. I now had the resources in order to actually make success in the online coaching space work. You know, you can like want to do it all you want. You can even pray, but at some point God is going to lead you to get the guidance and the mentorship that you need, you know, and He's going to bring you people who are going to help you get to where you're ultimately meant to go, your destiny. But the episode is about not negotiating with your destiny anymore. To not settle for less, to not settle for less than what you are meant to do. Because the potential that God has placed on your life is ultimately limitless. And God will reveal that to you. If you have no idea what God is calling you to do in life or in business, it's just because you have not began the journey yet. And if you are on the journey and you're actively asking, seeking, and knocking, which I do go over that in my program as well, like the exact steps in order to do in each of those processes, which I'll do another episode about that process here on the podcast. But if you are in that journey and you haven't gotten clarity yet, I want to encourage you to keep taking action. Don't negotiate your destiny by deciding not to take action, deciding not to invest in mentorship, deciding not to, take the next step that God is calling you to do, not to post content. If you do that, that's you negotiating between your most successful life and a life of mediocrity and even a life of struggle. And you don't deserve that. And not only that, but the people that you're called to serve don't deserve that. They deserve the best version of you. They deserve to step into, for you to step into the multi-million-dollar version of yourself, or whatever your goal is. If you can't even think that high right now, God might be taking you there. He might be taking you there. You just can't see it yet. And so don't, even in the beginning, negotiate with your destiny by deciding not to take action. Ultimately, that's you negotiating between God and the enemy, because God is saying, hey, do it. I want you to go big. I want you to dream big. I want you to make goals 10 times bigger than what you think you can achieve. God is rooting for you, and He wants to reveal more and more and more to you of your destiny, what you're truly meant to be. It will become clearer as you continue to take action. My destiny has become much clearer. I am not 100% clear, but I am I'm like 100% more clear than I was when I first started this journey. And I am so grateful for that, because it gives you a confidence to wake up every single day and do the dang thing. Do the thing He's called you to do, because you know what that is. You know what the mission is, and then He'll give you a message. He'll give you a brand. He'll give you the thing that you're called to do, and you become this person who is unrecognizable to the person you were before. But that requires you to accept. It requires you to accept the fact that you're not going to be like everybody else. You're going to be different. You're going to be making crazy choices. When I invested into that coaching program, well, it was actually a course at the beginning of the year. That program changed my life. It gave me the tools necessary to actually be successful in the online business space, in the coaching space. And if I never would have done that though, I would not be where I'm at today. I would be still struggling. I would be still not with the clarity that I have now. And my dad thought I was crazy. He's like, you are really investing $2,500 into something? He said that after the fact. He told me he thought I was crazy after the fact, because in the moment he was like, okay, good luck, kind of deal. And then afterwards, when I started making thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, when I made $20,000 in a span of 4 months as a beginner in the course creation industry, that's when he was like, oh, you made a good choice. I thought you were crazy at first when you did this. And some people are going to think you're crazy with the things that you do, because God does not play small. God calls you higher. He calls you to do like things that are bigger than what you think you can do. He calls you to invest bigger than what you think you can invest. He calls you to highs to do certain things that are going to be fun and exciting and like things you never thought you could do. But he also calls you to lows. He calls you to invest when you don't necessarily have it. He calls you to buy the book when you got $10 in your account. I don't know. He calls you to do things that are not necessarily comfortable. But that is the journey to your destiny. And what I'm calling you to do in this episode is to not negotiate any longer. Don't negotiate with the greatness that God has placed on your life. Accept what He's placed on your life and decide today. I'm committed to living out God's purpose for my life. If you are deciding, please drop it in the comments. Say, I am deciding that I'm committed to living out my God-given purpose. No more negotiating. I'm going big. I'm going to do what God has called me to do, regardless of how it feels, regardless of if it's scary, regardless of the work that it's going to take. You get to choose your heart. You get to choose the heart of living your destiny, or choose the heart of living a mediocre life. Which one do you choose? All right. Thank you so much for listening. And I will see you tomorrow, because this is going to be a daily podcast. I'm so grateful for you listening. And I will see you tomorrow. Also, I talked to you about how I made $20,000 in the span of 4 months as a beginner in the course creation industry. If you feel like you're called to success and you want a way to do it without sales calls, without running paid ads, without having to hustle your way to success, but you're able to do it with the resources that actually get you there on autopilot, and you just create content and do the parts of the business that you love, and you will still make money even while you're sleeping, then there is a free training in the description where I show you how to do that and how I have achieved that. All right. But thank you again, and I will see you tomorrow.